Let this hang for a moment. I'm going to go some other place. There is now an element in healing that's come through in so many ways, that right now, if you were to say energy medicine, kinesiology, focusing, matrix work, body talk. I don't know if you heard of any of these, but it's burgeoning up now and it's coming in so many ways because the body doesn't lie. And when somebody takes us to that place and asks, what's wrong? What does the body want? Never mind what you want. What does the body want? Where are you in your kishkas, And some of the most remarkable healings take place when underneath, sort of between the conscious mind and the body, there is this energy body, the matrix, if you will. Interesting how this came out in the movie now. That matrix, if it is clear, if it is free, if it doesn't have any knots in there, if it doesn't have any tangles in there, there is health. Energy can flow. And when there are tangles in there, we are in trouble. And so you can address this from outside with surgery. You can address it with chemistry. But the best way to address it is to go and ask the body that question, which is another way of saying you have to go into the system files of your life operating system. Do you hear me about that? That's a hard one because you got to know what you're doing, okay? But if the body tells you itself what it wants to do, if it is self-repairing, provided you give it, you listen to it, and you pay attention, something remarkable happens. And how do we talk about it? Ana, bekoach gedulat yemincha tatir tzerura, untie the tangles. When those tangles inside of us are untied, if ever you have had two conflicting programs on your computer and the computer froze up, you know what I'm talking about. And if the question is, how many conflicting programs have we got in our psyche, in our soma? You get the idea? No wonder sometimes we get sick. Look at stress. Look at the way in which the sympathetic nervous system of stress and strain, when there isn't enough downtime to happen, when there isn't enough Shabbos in life of people, what happens? That the stress burns us out because it doesn't have the balance that it needs to be able to work right. So, if there are conflicting programs inside, people used to speak of that as a double bind. And another way of saying that is, it's crazy making, okay? Now, here is where we find ourselves and the planet in a situation where we are in a very crazy making situation. Let me go back about 100 years ago. If I would have come into a Jewish gathering and I would have said, sing with me, Techzak na yedei kol acheinu hamchonenim, or the Hatikva, everybody would have been very happy. It was after the Congress in Basel. The Zionist dream was, oi, how wonderful. Moshiach is coming to us in a way that we hadn't even dared to think about. There was a man who wrote, Auto-Emancipation. We emancipate ourselves and we are going to get into a place where we live on earth. We'll have our country. It'll be so wonderful. And all these years, the dream was propelling us And at this point, when I look at the dream, it looks to me it's shattered, it's broken, it's askew, it's tangled up. It doesn't energize us anymore. Who, even on the most right side of the political spectrum, doesn't have some conniptions about some of the news that comes to us from Israel when we look at the dream and what has happened to it? It's sad. Let's look at the American dream. 4th of July used to be such an important yontif to me, you know, coming over from Europe. And this was for me a place where I don't have to worry anymore. Wohin soll ich gehen, as verspart von mir ist jede Tür. Where am I going to go to? Every door is closed to me, you know? How good it was finally to arrive at a place where I could sink my roots and I could say, I'm happy here. And it came at a time when Roosevelt was president. And, you know, for many of us, especially for the red diaper babies, but for many of us, he was, the father of the country. There was a sense, it'll be good, he's in charge. And when I start looking as to where we are right now with the father of the country, and I get to feel what has happened to this dream, the dream is shattered. I gave a commencement address to the students at Naropa. It was my valedictory because I retired with that one from Naropa. But you know what? I couldn't say to them that you're going to go out and the jobs are waiting for you and the great future and life is now beginning. What could I tell them? I couldn't say these kinds of things. The dream that young people had at one point of how their life would open up is also shattered. What is in its place? Look at how much of the media have put us into a trance. The news, the spin that they put on things, the movies you go to, so much violence. Violence is kosher, you know. A couple of loving people in bed with each other is not. What a crazy society this is and what's being pushed at us. And they're using all the worlds, all the other worlds, to make us have scarcity in the world of Asiya. Let me spell this one out. Imagine I have a car, it's running well, the people in Cuba have been running the cars from the 1950s and still are running them, you know. Every few years, we have to buy the latest model. Why? Because the advertisement is if you get the latest model, you're gonna get the girl that's next to it, you know. There is always like the operative conditioning, operant conditioning there that keeps promising us something that is in other worlds, that if we spend $30,000, $40,000, we're going to get it in this world. And you begin to see that the needs that we have on other planes, if I seek to satisfy them on this plane, I get into trouble. Reb David Zeller loves to talk about it this way. He says, when I was a baby, I was hungry. My mother took me to her breast. And I could relax. When I was confused, upset, she took me to her breast and I could relax. When I was afraid, she took me to her breast and I could relax. And now I've grown up. And when I'm hungry, I go to the fridge, and when I'm confused, I go to the fridge, and when I'm upset, I go to the fridge. You get the idea? It is what was able to happen on one plane because Mother gave me all the other things of the other worlds, but the fridge does not. And so we get into a situation where we have scarcity on this plane because we don't know the other planes exist. And we don't know how to create satisfactions for ourselves on other planes. So we take always the substitutes that are being offered on this plane. And there isn't enough to go around to feed everybody on this plane if we have to find also the substitutes for other planes here. But given that we are learning a discipline of being able to say, in which world am I hungry? And when I know that I'm hungry in the world of Yetzirah, I call a friend and talk to the friend. I spend some time with my beloved. You know, if I'm hungry for the world of Bria,